Okay, so we've got everything clean. I got all the bearings and everything cleaned up, and everything looks pretty good. So we gotta get everything reassembled, and to do that, we need to re-grease everything. So you need to make sure that you got a rag handy, because if you do it the way that I do, it's kind of messy. I'm sure there are better ways to do it with like a small paintbrush or something to brush on the grease, but I don't do that. I do it the hard way, the dirty, nasty way, and I get it everywhere. That being said, you want to fill in your races with a nice coating of grease. You don't want to go too overboard. You don't want to get it everywhere. But you do want to make sure that all of your surfaces are covered. And that will ensure long life of your bearings and a nice smooth rollout without a lot of extra friction. Because friction on a bicycle is bad because they're human powered. So you get your races all greased up, and to pack the bearings, I just put some on one finger, kind of push it in the center, and then squeeze, and that'll push all the grease out through the actual ball bearings themselves. And when it starts squirting out the sides, you know that you've got the bearings sufficiently packed, and you can place them in the races. These are Excel bearings. These hubs are not my favorite hubs to work on because, generally speaking, I don't know if it was something from the factory, whether they didn't put enough grease in them to begin with, but a lot of times the bearing races are worn out and they have pits in them. And you usually see that on other bikes too when there's been a lot of use and not a lot of maintenance. But it seems like on these MO manufacturing wheels, it didn't really take a whole lot of use to make them go bad. I think the lucky people were probably the ones that had problems with them early on and had them rebuilt or rebuilt them themselves. This one wasn't too bad, but it did have the average pitting that I would expect out of an Excel hub. That being said, it's still good enough to roll, still good enough to build, and still good enough for a rider. So just slide our axle right back through here. There you got my cone on the one side. Lay it down. This may or may not go smoothly because the axle was just a smidge boogered up when I took it apart. Wasn't too bad, but it did give me a little bit of a problem. I tried to clean the threads out pretty well with a razor blade. I've been working on this wheel for probably 2 hours now, or so. But that's just because I'm anal retentive and I want everything perfect. Still got a little bit of play in there, so we're going to take it in. Still a little bit of play. It's all in the fine adjustment when you want your wheel to roll properly. And where you get these cones set is very, very important. More important than just about any other part of rebuilding the wheel. You don't want to have any kind of play in the axle. You want it to roll perfectly smooth without any free space. You don't want it to bind up on itself either. So it's kind of a fine line, but when you get it right, you'll be able to feel it. And I think that is right there. Not bad. Nice and quiet. A little bit of spoke tightening, and this wheel will be fully ready to go. Go ahead and put the hardware back on the wheel and put the axle nuts back on it, which pops. And then all that's left to do is polish the spokes and the rim itself. Make sure that all the spokes are properly tightened and the rim is true and straight. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. What I just did, rebuilding the axle and putting new grease in there, that's really the important part. You should check your spokes from time to time, especially if you hear any noise in your wheel. But this is the important part. If you keep fresh grease in your hubs and build them properly, they will last you forever. They really, really will. You don't have to take 2 hours to do it like I did. You can just do a quick cleanup in about 20 minutes. So that's how we do things at Illinois Slowriders. Thanks for watching.